Hello and welcome to today's class. Today our topic is Aunt Jennifer's Tigers by Adrienne Rich for class 12. Just a few lines about the poet. The poet Adrienne Rich was born in the United States of America. She was a poet, essayist, and very prominent feminist. And she was called one of the most widely read and influential poets of the second half of the 20th century. And she was credited with bringing the oppression of women and lesbians to the forefront of poetic discourse. So she, through her writing, dealt with the problems of women and lesbians and mentioned it in her poems, which brought about a change in the society. She was widely known for her involvement in the contemporary women's movement as a poet and theorist. So she had a major part to play in the women's movement which started in 1950s in America. Let's look at the poem in details. Aunt Jennifer's tigers prance across a screen, bright topaz denizens of a world of green. They do not fear the men beneath the tree. They pace in sleek chivalric certainty. In the first stanza, Aunt Jennifer is seen making a tapestry, which is an embroidery work, and in this tapestry, she is making tigers. The embroidered tigers are prancing across the screen or the panel that Aunt Jennifer is making. So we see the tigers jumping across the tapestry which Aunt Jennifer is embroidering. The poet describes the tigers as bright colored, comparing them to the shining golden yellow jewel topaz. They are free inhabitants of the world of green, which is the jungle or the forest. So these tigers live freely in the forest. They are unafraid of other beings in the forest. They don't even fear the men, those who are standing beneath or under the tree. And in the last line of the stanza, we see there is a sense of certainty and confidence in the way the tigers move. So the tigers move with a sense of elegance. They are confident of their victory. So, summing up the first stanza, the poet provides a setting for Aunt Jennifer's dream world, which comprises herself and her tigers. Aunt Jennifer represents all women who are caught under the oppressive hand of a patriarchal society. The tigers of Aunt Jennifer's embroidery are representative of her desire of a free spirit, emphasizing the fact that she wants the freedom from a husband. She wants to be free and unafraid and chivalric like the tigers. She's expressing her pain through her art, creating a picture of how she would like her life to be. So the tigers just are a contrast to the real life of Aunt Jennifer. In reality, she wants to be like the tiger in her dreams. Sorry, she wants to be like the tigers, but in reality, she is oppressed by her husband. Take a minute or so in order to test your comprehension. Try finding answer to these questions, and if you're unable, go back to the explanation, listen to it, and then find the answers. And yet, if you have any confusion or doubt, then you can put it down in the comment section. Aunt Jennifer's fingers fluttering through her wool find even the ivory needle hard to pull. The massive weight of Uncle's wedding band sits heavily upon Aunt Jennifer's hands. In the second stanza of the poem, Aunt Jennifer is doing the needlework, as you can see in the picture, with wool and ivory needle. But she finds it very difficult to pull even the ivory needle. This difficulty reveals that she's feeble, weak, and enslaved, very much opposite of the tigers that she's making. Her fingers are fluttering, that is, they're shaking. The uncle's wedding band, which is the wedding ring, seems heavy on her hand, which suggests that the wedding band is just a representative of a marital um, togetherness, and it suggests that marriage is burdening her, the marital responsibilities are burdening her, and that's why she feels the wedding band heavy on her hand. Quickly summing up the second stanza, the second stanza represents the reality of Aunt Jennifer's life. She is depicted doing the needlework, which is a very traditional activity of a women. The tigers of Aunt Jennifer's stitching are representative of the freedom that she aspires for and a release from the confines of conservative patriarchal norms. She produces her tigers under her control. This is evident that she is having trouble with this activity because of the massive weight of uncle's wedding band. Her inability to do this needle work represents her inability to express herself in a male dominated society. So we see in the second stanza that Aunt Jennifer is not even able to express herself properly through her work because of that marital responsibilities that she's made to shoulder. Her life is trembling under all these responsibilities, and she is weak and feeble, and she cannot oppose the oppression that her husband is doing. If you're confident that you've understood the second stanza, then quickly go through these questions and find the answers. Stanza 3. When aunt is dead, her terrified hands will lie, still ringed with ordeal she was mastered by. The tigers in the panel that she made will go on prancing, proud and unafraid. In the last stanza, it reveals the bitter reality of a woman's life. The poet suggests that even death will not be able to release Aunt Jennifer from the sufferings that she underwent during her lifetime. Her life will be a story of ordeals, problems, sufferings, pain, and oppression. But the tigers that she has created will be eternal. They will go on prancing, proud and unafraid forever and ever. So she has made all these tigers immortal through her work. In this stanza, we see that Aunt Jennifer has created the tigers that prance proudly through her thoughts, for the world that they are will be left of her. So the tigers are the only thing that will be left of Aunt Jennifer once she dies. The tigers remain constant through the poem, and they are the only ones that go on strengthening. However, Aunt Jennifer, she fades away. By the time of her death, she has even lost a part of her identity. Her passing is only marked by the phrase "when Aunt is dead." So we even don't give her the identity of Aunt Jennifer. We just consider her as Aunt. In her grave, she'll turn to dust, but the tigers that she has made on the panel will continue to be proud and unafraid. So she has made these tigers immortal beings. Just check your understanding of the third stanza by going through these questions. I think by now the students must have guessed the theme of the poem. It's pretty clear that the theme deals with the desires and freedom of women, how they long to be free, to be victorious, to be powerful in the society, in the patriarchal society, like the tigers. But unfortunately for these women, that is not possible because our society is a patriarchal society which oppresses women and their desires. And this has been very beautifully presented through the poem Aunt Jennifer's Tigers, where Aunt Jennifer is making tigers her expression. This expression of art is a expression of her freedom where she longs to be like the tigers, but in reality she is a feeble, meek, humble, oppressed under the fear of her husband. And then when Aunt Jennifer dies, no one even cares for that. People just forget it like any other death. So women throughout their life, they fight for the freedom to have a say in the household, in the society, but unfortunately our society doesn't grant that to the women, and that's why they create an alternative world for themselves. Jennifer Tiger is a poem rich in a lot of poetic devices, especially symbols. Almost each stanza has two or three symbols, which is very central to the poem. So, in the next few slides, we will discuss these poetic devices. Let's first discuss the symbols in the poem. We'll begin with the title and the most central character here, the tiger. So the tigers in general, they're a symbol of fear, they're a symbol of terror, and which is very much similar to what men have been doing. They have been terrorizing women, they've been oppressing women. But at the same time, in the poem, we see tigers a symbol of freedom, of spirit, of being unafraid and powerful, which Aunt Jennifer is dreaming to achieve, which she's expressing through her tapestry that she's making. The second symbol that the poet has used in the first stanza is the bright topaz. So the topaz is a jewel, a precious thing. So this symbolizes the bright yellowish color of the tiger's skin. So it's trying to say that these tigers are precious. They are something valuable, unlike women who are not considered to be valuable. The fluttering of the hands, again, it shows the oppression that women face. The fluttering, it's showing the sense of terror that society has created in women. Uncle's wedding band, it symbolizes the suppression of women in matrimony. So marriage as an institution, it only aims at suppressing women. Women always considered inferior to men, and marriage is one institution that has been doing it for centuries and centuries. So it symbolizes the oppression of women by custom, law. These women are oppressed by the marital responsibilities that they need to shoulder after their marriage. Ringed with ordeals. In this image, the symbol that Adrienne Rich has used, it shows the struggle of the spirit, a racial, religious injustice and oppression which women feel. The ring is also a sense of a limitation which marriage brings for women. And within this ring, within this limitation, women are oppressed. They have to suffer. They have to go through a lot of pain within this institution of marriage. Aunt Jennifer, she symbolizes the male oppression. She's dependent, frail, fearful, and a duty bound women which was a very prominent picture in the society, where women are seem to be doing only the household work. They cannot talk or express themselves to the husband or to the society or family, and hence they take to some other form of expressing themselves, which is the art, like Aunt Jennifer making the tapestry. The embroidery, it symbolizes creative expression. So Aunt Jennifer, though she can't express herself to the society, to her husband, to her family, so she takes another means of expression, which is the embroidery, in which she is expressing her desire to be like the tigers. We'll also look at the other poetic devices used in the poem. We have alliteration. So one example is fingers fluttering. Then personification. Here, the tigers have been personified. The tigers have been given the human quality of chivalry, which is being brave and victorious. So, the general image of tigers is something very brutal, killing, and whereas in the poem they have been given a very human like, a brave, a victorious, chivalric presentation. So, the tigers have been personified. Then we have a transferred epithet. So the terrified hands. Here the hand, it's not just the hands are terrified, but its entire Aunt Jennifer is terrified of her husband. So this is the hands stand for Aunt Jennifer. Pun, ringed, has two meaning in the poem. First, it's the ring on the fingers, the marriage, the wedding band, and it's also the difficulties that surround Aunt Jennifer, the ring of difficulties or responsibilities, limitations that she's surrounded by. Irony, Aunt Jennifer, her life and her creation are ironical. When Aunt Jennifer, the end of Aunt Jennifer is also very ironical and a contrast to the tigers that she has made. The tigers will continue prancing freely and unafraid, whereas Aunt Jennifer will be dead and forgotten. Let's now look at a few short answer type questions that have come up for the CBSE exams in the past few years. How are Aunt Jennifer and the tigers created by her different from each other in their attitude? So there's a clear distinction between Aunt Jennifer and the tigers that she has made. We see Aunt Jennifer as a very weak, meek, submissive lady whose even hands are fluttering when she's doing the needlework, whereas the tigers are projected as strong, fearless, confident, brave, victorious. So there's uh, a very contrasting presentation of Aunt Jennifer and the tigers that she's making. The second question, what picture of male chauvinism or tyranny do you find in the poem Aunt Jennifer's Tigers? So, in the poem, as we can see, we clearly get an idea that Aunt Jennifer has the freedom only in the art that she's making. She has freedom to express herself only through the art and nowhere else. She even probably can't move out of the house and do something. So, this shows that she has been confined within the house and left alone to do the work, the embroidery that she's doing. What lies heavily on Aunt Jennifer's hand? How is it associated with her husband? The wedding band of the uncle lies heavily on Aunt Jennifer's hand. This is associated with the husband because of the marital life, that post marriage the women are burdened with the marital responsibilities, the marital limitations, and this is like a burden for women. They are being oppressed in the name of marriage. The first question here, why does Aunt Jennifer create animals that are so different from her own character? Aunt Jennifer has created the tigers who are free, unafraid, and proud. It is just an expression of her own desire to be like them because her life is a life of fear, life of restrictions and limitations and oppression. So the tigers are a means of expressing the desire that she wants to be. The second question, why has Aunt Jennifer made prancing proud and unafraid tigers? She has made the tigers prancing proud and unafraid just to express her desire to be like the tigers, proud and unafraid, whereas in reality her character is just the different. How do word denizens and chivalric add to understanding of Aunt Jennifer's tigers? So the denizen, the word means tigers inhabit a world of green. So they live in the forest, rather they rule the forest. Whereas chivalric, it means they're brave and victorious and courageous. So we see the tigers as being brave, victorious, courageous, and ruling the forest, which is without any limitation. What do the symbols tigers, fingers, and rings stand for in the poem Aunt Jennifer's Tigers? The symbols tiger stands for bravery, courage, being fearless. Fingers are oppression. They stand for fear experienced by women. And ring stands for the marital foundations, limitations, and oppression that women suffer. How has Aunt Jennifer created the tigers? What traits of tiger do they reveal? Aunt Jennifer has created the tigers on the tapestry that she's making, and she has created these tigers as proud and unafraid. And the through this creation of hers, she wants to reveal that the tigers are majestic, elegant, chivalric, brave, victorious, courageous. Thank you for staying connected. I hope you've understood the poem. And yet, if you find anything difficult, please mention it in the comment section. I will get back to you with the explanation.